Hey, what's going on, guys? We're back with another video over Star Wars: The Galaxy of Heroes. Now, something I've had a few people ask me or just mention to me in passing that they were going to do is that they were going to make a brand new account for Galaxy of Heroes, and the first thing that they were going to do, go straight after a Galactic Legend. They want that shiny Sith Eternal Emperor or Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, so they're going to make a brand new account and go straight for a Galactic Legend as their first major team. Now, I know he hasn't released his official farming guide yet, so everything is subject to change, but Arnold did release a video talking about how his plan for free-to-play farming was going to be to go after Palpatine, Thrawn, and then go straight with First Order after Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Now, Arnold may change his mind on this, and this is not an attack on Arnold or his plan by any stretch of the imagination. Today, we are just going to talk about the pros and cons of going after a Galactic Legend as your first major team for a free-to-play account. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I am biased against doing this, so I will try to play devil's advocate and balance out the pros for it too. So we will talk about some of the good and some of the bad. Now, before we get started, just a reminder, if you do enjoy this video or find it in any way helpful, please make sure to hit the like button. It does make me feel good to know that I am helping the community out, and it helps other people find the video. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell for any videos or live stream notifications. We do stream Galaxy of Heroes Grand Arena Championships on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, like I said, I am biased against this, so we are going to start with a con of this, and that is going to be the ramifications in Grand Arena Championships. Now, this is my favorite game mode in the game, so if this doesn't mean as much to you, then this might hold a little less weight as to why you should or should not go after a Galactic Legend immediately. Now, seeing as Grand Arena Championships is my favorite game mode in this entire game, I value being competitive and trying to win every time I go in. Now, I am completely pulling this number out of my butt, but let's assume that once you hit level 85 and you start competing in Grand Arena Champions, let's assume you're in, say, Division 10, you're around 700,000 galactic power. One important thing to think about is going to be the GP bloat that you are going to accrue while you are going after this Galactic Legend. I have gone ahead and I have calculated all of the relic requirements for all of the characters, plus all of the ship requirements. That's an easy thing to forget about, but if you're free to play, you are not buying the finalizer like ashamedly I did. Now, since I did buy it, my ships are actually not good enough to even do the event, so I might be lowballing this number just a hair. But total GP requirement that you are going to see to get up to Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and I am adding in Supreme Leader Kylo Ren at Relic 7 with all of the Zetas because at some point you are going to have that as well for him to be effective. You are looking at roughly between 900,000 galactic power and 950,000 galactic power. Now, let's put that in perspective. If you're starting here in Division 10, that's going to throw you all the way up to somewhere Division 7 or Division 6. In that meantime, while you have now climbed 3 or 4 divisions in Grand Arena Championships, what teams have you actually added? You've added a First Order team and potentially an Empire team, and that's really it. You've got your Phoenix because you went after Palpatine. You've got Darth Vader, Palpatine, and Thrawn, so you've got an Empire team, and you've got First Order, and that's really it. And that's all you're going to have for Divisions 10, 9, 8, 7, and potentially 6 up until you get your Galactic Legend. Now, like I said, this is if you're going after the Supreme Leader as your very first option. This isn't saying, oh, well, I'll passively kind of farm, and I'll get JKR while I'm on the way, and I'll get Darth Vader. Well, that's not going after a Galactic Legend as your first major team. We are assuming you're going after a Galactic Legend as your first major team. Now, conversely, and please, I do apologize for the crappy graphic, but I did go ahead and calculate, what if I didn't go the Galactic Legends route? What if I went the traditional route of getting legendaries, going after Jedi Knight Revan, going after Darth Revan, going after Padme, CLS, Chewbacca? What would my GP bloat look like? Would it be similar? Would I be getting way more than what I'm getting with Supreme Leader Kylo Ren? Or would my GP bloat be less, more? What would it look like? So as you can see right here, I did show both the requirements to get the character plus the team that you're going to use them with whenever you unlock them. Obviously, you know, if you're at the very end of the game, you know, you're using Jedi Knight Luke and you're using all these other characters. When you unlock these characters, these are roughly the teams that you are probably going to focus them around. As you can see, looking at all of the requirements and the teams, and these all have them being competitive. These all have them being at Gear 12 plus, being fairly good characters. You're looking at roughly 818,000 to 820,000 galactic power in total. So what you're looking at is about 100,000 galactic power less in bloat if you went the traditional route. Now, which is really better? Well, for Grand Arena, I would posit that the latter is honestly the better choice, because when you think about it, Grand Arena is about setting teams on defense and then still having teams to go against on offense. If you are going the Galactic Legend route, you're going to have, at the end of the day, once you have finished, you have your Relic 7 Supreme Leader Kylo, you are going to have a really good Supreme Leader Kylo Ren team. You are going to have a crappy first order team, probably led by Captain Phasma. If you break it apart and don't have a super good Supreme Leader Kylo Ren team, then you have a good first order team. You have Phoenix and you have Empire. You have 4 teams. That's all you got. If you go the traditional route, you will have Jedi Knight Revan, Darth Revan, Padme, Geonosians, CLS, Bounty Hunters, Old Republic. Now, not all of those teams are phenomenal. Old Republic is not a phenomenal team, but it is yet another team that is nice, especially early on in these earlier divisions for Grand Arena Championships. So that is one thing that you just need to weigh whenever you're thinking about, do I go for a Galactic Legend? Do I want, a few really good teams, one not so good team, and a decent fleet? Or do I want a bunch of core really good teams that'll help me in Grand Arena Championships? Not to mention that the Geonosians that you will need for Padme are also going to get you Watt Shards, so that's going to be very attractive for guilds as well. Speaking of guilds, let's talk about guilds. So while you are farming for Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, do you want to know how much help you are going to be to a guild? Not so much. Not so much help. While you are farming towards your Galactic Legend, you're going to have a First Order team and a Palpatine team, and that's basically it. And that is not going to be helpful in territory battle or in territory war. So you are not going to be an attractive candidate for a decent guild. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, once you have your Galactic Legend, yes, guilds are going to want you. No one's going to turn down someone that has a Galactic Legend. I mean, that would be kind of silly. However, even if a guild accepts you with your Galactic Legend, you're still not going to have a whole lot to offer to the guild. In terms of Darkside Geonosis territory battles, you're not going to have enough teams to really do much in the combat battles. And when it comes to territory wars, you're going to have like 2 or 3 teams, 1 really good team and 2 meh teams. That's all you're going to be able to contribute. Now, I know I'm going to have some people that are guild officers in their guilds. They're going to comment on this or watch this and say, oh, that's stupid. We would absolutely want someone with a Galactic Legend. Hear me out on this. All right, as an officer and recruiter for my guild, if I had 2 people, if I had 49 out of 50 capacity in my guild, and I have 2 people that I'm looking at, and I have to pick one of them has a Galactic Legend, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, that's it. They have the requirements and they have the Galactic Legend. That's all they have. On the other hand, I have the second person that has CLS, Padme, JKR, DR, Malik, all these other characters. It's a no-brainer. I want the second person. They don't have that superhero character, but they have all of these other teams that we can use in Lightside Geonosis territory battles, Darkside Geonosis territory battles, territory war. They can help us get a Watt Shard. There is so much more attractiveness to the second roster than this Galactic Legend roster has. Now, like I said, once you have this Galactic Legend, you're not going to have any trouble finding a guild. Every guild wants someone with a Galactic Legend, but up until that point, you're not going to have a whole lot to offer. Now, at this point, let's talk about, why am I talking about Supreme Leader Kylo Ren only? Why haven't I mentioned Sith Eternal Emperor, Rey, or Jedi Master Luke? Jedi Master Luke is super endgame. Don't even consider that one. Rey is just kind of harder to get. She is a very good character. It would be kind of a similar situation to going after Supreme Leader Kylo. Sith Eternal Emperor, on the other hand, is very easy to get. He is a lot easier to get. He is more marketed at early and free-to-play players. However, he's also potentially the worst Galactic Legend. I would posit that if you go after Sith Eternal Emperor and get him, you are going to have a hard time, if it's even possible, to climb to the top of your squad arena with only Sith Eternal Emperor. That is going to be very difficult for you. You are also, if you go straight after Sith Eternal Emperor, not going to have a great Sith Eternal Emperor team. You're not going to have Darth Revan, you're not going to have Malik, you're not going to have Trey, you're not going to have Sion, you're not going to have Nihilus. You're not going to have the characters that go in core with the Sith Eternal Emperor. So that is why, for all intents and purposes, we are talking only about Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. Now, let's talk about Squad Arena, as that is a major reason to go after a Galactic Legend. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, I want to go after a Galactic Legend because then I'll be in first place in my Squad Arena, I can get lots of crystals, and that'll make it a lot easier to unlock everything else. Well, let's think about that for a second. Here's the thing to remember. If you are a free-to-play player playing Galaxy of Heroes, no matter what you're going after, anyone who pays money is going to get there first. So if you are a free-to-play player going after Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, by the time you unlock him, every whale in your Squad Arena shard will already have a Galactic Legend. So it's not like you can get your Galactic Legend and be like, oh man, first in line now. No, you're still going to have to fight your way up to the top. Hope you get invited to your shard chat and work something out. You're still going to have to fight to get to that #1 spot. It's not just going to be a gift to you. So you can't just say, get my Galactic Legend, get my 500 crystals per day, and now I'm going to be able to start growing my roster. You're going to be higher in Squad Arena. That's a fact. But until you get your Galactic Legend, you're going to be at the bottom. And once you get your Galactic Legend, you're still going to have to fight for that spot. That's one thing to remember is if you are free to play, you are always going to be going up against people that are pay to play in Squad Arena. So don't think I'm just going to make a whole bunch of crystals because the people that have paid to play are going to beat you there. The last thing I want you to think about whenever you're going after your Galactic Legend is, how am I going to get the gear? How am I going to get the gear to get it? If you're going after a Galactic Legend, you are going to have a lot of characters at Relic and a lot of ships. To get those characters at Relic, you're going to need a lot of really expensive gear. You're not going to be getting that gear from Squad Arena because those Squad Arena shards, you're going to be sitting at the bottom with that first order team that you got. So how are you going to get the crystals? How are you going to get the gear? Well, so one option is going to be your guild event store. So I would say you're going to definitely need to be getting your raid tickets every single day. You've got the shard store and you've got the guild event token store. Now, obviously, if you spend your guild event token currency, you're not going to be going after Malik or Gas anytime soon, so you got to remember that. So that's a choice you would have to make. And your shard shop currency, you're going to have to think is probably going to be based on your Bronzine characters, and you're going to have to sacrifice farming some of the characters in like Galactic War, stuff like that, so you can use those characters to get shard shop currency. You're basically going to have to forget about getting gear from raids because you won't have any teams that can compete in the raids. So that's out the door as well. So one thing to consider is how am I going to get the gear to relic them up? Otherwise, you're just going to be simulating the nodes, the hard node battles, the normal battles just to get the gear. And that might be what you have to do. All right, I've thrown a lot of shade at this now, so let's talk about the good things about getting a Galactic Legend. So first thing, like I said, for Squad Arena, getting those 500 crystals per day is really nice, and it really does help you grow your roster a lot faster. So I did use that as a negative, but that is also a positive in that once you get your Galactic Legend, it will make it a lot easier to gear up and farm other characters and get other legendaries a lot faster. So that is one thing to consider. That is a good part of getting a Galactic Legend. Although you have to think about how long it's going to take you to get that Galactic Legend, so all that time, we don't think about that. Now, another good thing about having Galactic Legend is, especially when you're that early on, when you're at somewhere like Division 7, if you have a Galactic Legend, there's not going to be anyone that can touch your Galactic Legend. That thing will be invincible. It will be truly unbeatable. So that is definitely a good thing about having a Galactic Legend, is if you stand by the idea that I can just throw my Galactic Legend on defense and just hold an entire spot, that is true. I don't necessarily abide by that because I don't ever put my best team on defense because then I usually can't beat their best team if they leave it on defense. But that is something you would have. You would have that trump card. So you could easily, if you leave it on defense, you guarantee basically no one's going to be able to beat it. And if you keep it on offense, you guarantee that that is a guaranteed win. You can trump any of their teams that they put on defense. Now, I will say, I'll put a card in the top right-hand corner. I did face someone that did exactly this. They went straight after Sith Eternal Emperor and Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. They got both Galactic Legends, and that's basically all they had. They had 2 Galactic Legends, both at Relic 8, and they had all of their requirements, and that's really all they had. They had Jedi Knight Revan, they had Darth Revan, but at like gear like 11. Like, they weren't good. And it was a super easy fight. Like, it was nothing. It was not hard at all. And I don't care whether they left Supreme Leader Kylo Ren or Sith Eternal Emperor on defense. They did leave the easier one on defense for me. I would have beaten either one regardless, just because they didn't have the characters to take on my other teams that are not Galactic Legends, like Darth Revan, Jedi Knight Revan, Padme, CLS. So it's probably doable to make it work. Just remember that as soon as you get that Galactic Legend, you're going to need to start focusing hard on getting some good supporting teams. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. Now, I said you might not be super attractive to a guild, but I'm not going to lie. If you've got a Galactic Legends are really nice to have, especially for Territory War, because they are very hard to beat. Having an extra Galactic Legend to throw on defense in a Territory War can make it really hard for your opponent. So having that Galactic Legend does make you valuable in Territory Wars. You won't have as many teams to help out with, but you will have that, again, that trump card that is really hard for other people to beat. So you do have that ace in the hole as well. That is a lot to offer. All right, so now that we've talked about the pros and the cons of getting a Galactic Legend, let's talk about prepping. How are you going to get that Galactic Legend? First thing I'm going to tell you right now is if you plan on going for a Galactic Legend as your first character, I want you to stop. And I repeat, I want you to stop right now. Stop all farming for that Galactic Legend. And I want you to get this team that I'm showing you on the screen right now. I sound like a broken record because I say this a lot. This is undoubtedly, I will fight you on this. This is the best and most important free-to-play team in the game. And it is super easy to get. Remember, Asajj is in the store. Old Daka in the store. Initiate in the store. And you only need her at gear 5 and level 78. Jedi Knight Anakin has a Cantina node and a hard node, the only hard node 20 energy battle is going to be Mother Talzin. Now, why do I say this team is so important if you're going after a Galactic Legend? It's important if you're just a free-to-play player in general, because the important part of this is this team can solo Phase 3 of the Heroic Sith Triumvirate raid, and if your guild is still doing it, Phase 2 of the Tank raid. Raids are an incredibly important way to get gear, especially the Sith raid, to get that important gear to get up to gear 13. If you have this team, you mod them correctly, and you do well in the Sith raid, it gets you in the top 10, probably in the top 5, maybe in the top 3, depending on your guild, if they have anyone that's soloing the raid or not. If you're able to get up there, you're going to get more Treya shards, which is good for your roster, and you're going to get more gear, more guild event currency, all of that stuff, which is very, very important to getting the gear that you need for your Galactic Legend. So that's the last thing I'm going to say about this. If you are farming for a Galactic Legend, stop. Get this team right now. It will make everything so much faster. You'll lose a couple of months of progress probably, but you will speed up so much on the gear process. It's not even funny. Next up, make sure you are doing everything you can to get that guild store currency. That store has a lot of very important gear that you will need to gear up your first order characters. Next up, if you have leftover energy, if you don't have any more crystals to do hard node refreshes, if you've used all of your refreshes, if you have any energy left, go after gear. Go after the hard gear to get. Don't spend it on Carbantes, don't spend it on Chirotechs that you're gonna get daily. Even though they're very important, they're also pretty easy to get from some of the other stores and other various means. Go after the hard to get gear 12, gear 12 plus, gear 13 pieces of gear so that you can start preparing for that moment. Also, it's important to remember that if it's one of your guild requirements to get the raid tickets and stuff, use that on the appropriate node. So don't just keep farming the same type of gear. If it's your daily to get dark side battles, to get light side battles, use it on gear that's in one of those nodes so that you get more guild store currency. Next, be smart about how you're farming characters in the store. In the stores, you're going to need characters like Chopper, Old Daka, Asajj, First Order Officer. You're going to need all of these characters to make your way up to getting your Galactic Legend. Now, you will accrue all of this currency as you're going passively just by doing your dailies and by doing Cantina battles. However, I would argue if you are trying to get a Galactic Legend as fast as physically possible, I would say do not continue farming other characters. Don't try to unlock POW. Don't go after Ahsoka. Don't go after fives. Use that currency instead on characters that you have already gotten to get the shard store currency so that you can get your gear 12, gear 12 plus, gear 13, and other pieces of gear as well, just like the stun guns, your Carbantes, everything like that you can get from the shard store currency. So it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice you're making on getting other important characters, but it is going to expedite the process of getting gear for your first order characters. Another big tip is if you are wanting that Galactic Legend, if you are all on the Galactic Legend train, be focused. Don't see that shiny new character that they've released and be like, man, I want that just a little bit. And you gear them up to like gear 7. You are wasting gear that you could be using on your first order characters. Do not be going after other characters if you could be gearing up your first order characters to get your Galactic Legend. So you have to be disciplined. Another big one is make sure to use your Bronzium data cards and your ally points to get Bronzium data cards. Do not, I repeat, do not use your ally points to get stuff in the shipments. The stuff you get in the shipments, it is not nearly worth it. These 5 ability Mark III materials, nowhere worth 25,000 ally points, because once you use enough of these Bronzium cards to get those characters that you want up to 7 stars, that's shard store currency, and you can get a lot more bang for your buck out of the shard store than spending your 25,000 ally points. Get the Bronzium data cards, don't let them just sit there, get your shard store currency. Now last, and certainly not least, make sure to do your daily activities, because once you finish your daily activities, you are going to get Chirotechs and you are going to get gear, and that is extremely important, and you're going to get crystals. So make sure you're doing your dailies every single day. All right, guys, I'm going to get off my soapbox. Those were my thoughts on if you should or should not go after a Galactic Legend, kind of a little bit of dialogue to help you make your decision, and my thoughts if you are dead set on going after that Galactic Legend, some tips for farming them as quickly as possible. As I said earlier, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. It makes me feel good to know that I've helped you guys out, and it's nice to help other people find the video. Also hit subscribe, notification bell. I told you why earlier, and guys, hopefully you found this helpful. That's all I got. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Get down to the baseline.